Hello everyone, I am a service semblante and I am a BSIT 4th year student and I am here for my video presentation for the subject PROFIS with the ADP code of 04408, and I am here to present my asynchronous activity part 2. So for the question number 1, the question number 1 is, should our Philippine national elections be tomorrow? Who will you vote as president and vice president? So for my answer is, so if our national elections will be tomorrow, I will vote for Bongbong Marcos for president and Inday Sara Duterte for vice president. So for the question number 2, the question number 2 is, what 5 reasons from most important to least in rank are your considerations in choosing the said candidates on item number 1, 5 for president and another 5 for vice president? So I will answer first for the president. So number one reason for my president is experience. So this is the main reason I will choose him if national elections will be held tomorrow, because he had an experience that a candidate must possess. So for the reason number 2, continuity. So our current administration had so many achievements that must be continued by the candidate who will run for president and will win in this coming election. So for my reason number 3 is no hatred. So we must select a president who will prioritize us and the country, not for their personal agenda, especially the candidate who runs to defeat his or her rival. So for the question number 4, for the reason number 4, so intelligence in international laws. So because of what's happening now in Ukraine, it is important to have a president who have a proper intelligence on how the international law works. So for the reason number 5 is knows how to talk and not dependent to other countries. So it is important that our president must know how to communicate, not just locally but internationally, and also will not be too dependent on other countries. So for the vice president is the number 1 reason is again continuity. So like I said above, it is important that the programs of the current administration must be continued. So for the number 2 is toughness. So like her father, she's tough, which is I think is a good aspect of a vice president. So strong-minded. So for me, a strong-minded leader who will not afraid to talk and do what he or she must do for the betterment of our country. So for number 4, again, experience. So she had also an experience into politics. Number 5 is not all talk. So majority of the candidates who runs have a skill on to talking, but not on doing. So for the question number 3, rating from 1 being the lowest or least and 10 being highest or most. What are your ratings to our national leaders in terms of the following? So provide at least 5 sentences explanation of each of your ratings. So for the first word is nation building. So almost all of them have this on their platform, the nation building. This is because of the impact that this pandemic has brought to us. So this is all. This is must one of the things that they must prioritize in order for the people and the country to at least aid the effect of this pandemic. They also agree that the Build program from the current administration must be continued. This is for us to have a more quality infrastructures, which one of the foundation of the country's businesses. So the second word is foreign relations and partnerships. So in terms of this, the candidate had no clear plan. So 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 I will go back for the nation building. So the nation building, I rate it 10. So for the foreign relations and partnerships, so I rate it 5. So I rate it 5 because in terms of this, the candidates had no clear plan. Like what I said, it is most important that we must not too dependent to a certain country. This is still this important aspect of our country. For the candidate who will run must possess, who will win must possess. It will also help us gain benefit when we go to other countries. We know that OFW is called OFW is called the modern hero because of the money that they gave to the country. So it is important to have also a good relationship or partnership to other countries. So the third word is disaster response. So I rate it 9. So because all of them have experiences in politics, they have a logical solution to this problem. So we know that our country is very prone to disaster, especially typhoons. That's why this disaster response is also crucial for the candidates. Like they said, prevention is better than cure. It will also help us avoid deaths, which is because of this. Almost all of us, poor, rich, and average, is affected by this. So for the fourth word is education. So education, I rate it 8. So I believe education is the first step to avoid poverty, which will help our country to have more knowledge, more skills that must possess in order to be successful, which not only help themselves but also the country. So I think also the foundations of our people, the foundation is education, because this is a crucial part for the betterment of the country. Education also makes what we are as a country. So for my fifth word is research and development. So I rate it 4. So this is one of the things that we are very behind. So most of the first world countries have a very big investments in this that make them powerful than us in the third world countries. Most of the candidates have not really have solid solution on this in our country. Like the word development, this is the reason the development of our country than to these countries are far stretched. Other countries makes research to our country, and that is an advantage to them. So for the next word is crime management. So crime management, I rate it 10. So I rate it 10 because for me, after the nation building, this is the most significant problem our country has been seen in the past decades, especially in the drug problem, which our country had been facing for so long, not able to decline it. The current management and national leaders have been able to decline it significantly. This is where the trust of the people gained by national leaders is very significant. So for me, that's what people nowadays will find for the next national leaders of this country. Good, good crime management also makes the people in peace in our country. So for the next word is sovereign, protecting sovereignty. So I rate it 5. So protecting sovereignty, I rate it 5. In order to protect our own country, our leaders must have a deep knowledge about this, especially of what happened in other countries right now. We also know that we have territorial disputes with China. Protecting our own sovereignty must be first on the list. Like I said, we must not too dependent with other countries. So for the next word is marine biodiversity preservation, is I rate it 3. So our country is one of the richest marine biodiversity in the planet. Unfortunately, only the foreign country has been able to do research in our own marine biodiversity, which also gives them a more superiority when it comes to the topic earlier about development. So this is why even though we are rich, we can't use it for our own goods. That's why this thing, even though we have only few experts here, because they go abroad, are experts here, so we must also experience. It is important that we must also experience this called development. So for the final word is level of poverty. So our level of poverty is also one of the worst in the planet. So that's why they label as a third world country. This is one of the very big problems in our country, which affects every one of us. The reason also is because of the ayuda enablers. So people will not have a motivation to work hard and earn because they think the government is always there for them. That's why our people became poor. So level of poverty, so I rate it 5. So for the fourth question is what needs to be considered in order to become country's leaders. Include 5 qualification and requirements not mentioned in the present constitution become the country's president, vice president, or any seat, especially in the executive or judicial branches of the government. So for the first, so experience, I said this 3 times because I think this is the crucial who will run in the government in order to avoid mistakes that only the people will suffer. So number 2, intelligence. So the intelligence also a must possess for the people in the government. So no personal agenda. So many people in the government just use their position for their personal agenda, not for the people. So toughness. So if you will run for the president, you must have guts to answer the people for the criticisms that they will say to you. So knows how to talk. So if you will run in the government, it is important that you know what you will say, because it will have an impact to the image of the government. So love for the country. So for me, this is one of the most important things, because the people and the country must be first in your priority. So for the last question, the question number 5. So do you personally believe that a democratic country like ours has the more tendency to be incorrupt? Yes or no? Provide 3 or 4 or 5 key points to support your stance. So my answer is yes, because for the simple reasons that almost all of us can do everything in this country. This gives the corrupt, especially rich and politicians, have more power, and if you have more power, you can also almost do everything to avoid the law. So it also gives an advantage to the more powerful person than the normal ones. So again, hello everyone. So good evening. So that is my my video presentation for my asynchronous activity part 2.